Hey look, it's another collab. So Becca has organized a fun collab amongst a few content creators. Hi, and welcome to Quilt Meets World, where we have adventures in piecing and joy. I'm Russ. Come on into my sewing room. Late last year, So Becca invited 9 other content creators and myself to participate in a collab across our channels for the 2024 Traveling Quilt Collab. What is this collab? There are 10 content creators creating rows for this quilt. Those content creators are Sean of The Guy Who Sews, Beth of Goody Goods, Kelli of The Farm on Highway J, Amy of Amy Dement, Pat of Flaming Lotus Designs, Martha of Martha's Creative Life, Krystle of Krystle Heart, Stephanie of Stephanie Harris, and Eric of Treasure Heart Creations, and then of course, myself. We are all creating a row on our own that will be pieced together centrally and then quilted in the end by Tiffany of Tiffany's Quilting Life. The rule that we have is our rows have to be 10 inches by 50 inches and can be anything that our heart desires. There have been many videos already published, and there are some incredible rows out there, so I highly recommend you go and check those videos out. I did some mental math during our prep meeting and said, hey, with 10 content creators, that's 10 rows, and each row is 10 high and 50 wide, so that makes it an in quilt of 50 by 100. That seems a little odd of a size. I mean, people will make it work and everything, but it just feels odd to me. And then I added, how about a couple of us do vertical rows to kind of help balance it out? So we could have a certain number of rows going down and then maybe a vertical row on each side or something. And that idea actually, panned out. So I also said, since I'm suggesting this idea, I'll volunteer to do one of the vertical rows, because I'm not one to volunteer something and it potentially just impacts somebody else. So I was like, I'll do one of the vertical rows, and somebody else volunteered to do a vertical row. So we were able to kind of balance out the quilt a little bit, we hope. I said this whole volunteer thing having no idea of what I wanted to do. But, I had ideas in my head. As I started planning my row or column, I had great aspirations. I was like, I'm going to go over the top and do some applique. Except I've only done applique once and I can't draw. I wanted to do like a few scenes from my life. Like, there's this pond and mountain where my family lives, where I lived for many years. And I was like, this would be perfect to put in a quilt block form. But, the whole applique thing, and I can't draw. I was like, I don't know if I can do that. Then I started thinking about, the traditional quilt block idea. There's a ton of traditional quilt blocks out there that show off me and my personality. Except there's a problem. 10 is not divisible by 3 evenly. Most quilt blocks are either 3 rows or 4 rows in their quilt blocks. And if I wanted to do a quilt block of 3, that would mean each row would have to be 3 1/3 inches. And I can't find a 1/3 inch on my ruler. And actually, it's a 1/3 inch plus a 1/4 inch because you need that seam allowance. I don't even want to know what that math comes out to be, because that sounds like it's hard. So I was like, that's just really limiting what I can do, because, it has to be a thing of 10. But then I had an amazing idea. I have tools. There is this software called Electric Quilt 8, or EQ8 for short. Within this software, you can, take existing blocks or design your own blocks and print them onto newsprint for foundation piecing. That means I can take any block to be any size as I want, as long as, I take the effort to, cut everything, deal with a little bit of waste that comes with foundation piecing, and the annoyance of trying to put some of these puzzle pieces together. But I was like, I've done foundation paper piecing before. I can do it again. This was my first adventure in designing my own foundation paper piece project. And it came with a few challenges that I wasn't expecting. The main challenge that I had was I realized after the fact I probably should have done a test block ahead of time in order to try to get some of these seams to nest up a little bit better than they did. There's nothing wrong with my blocks, but a couple of these seams could be just a little bit less bulky if I had thought in advance to put this piece in before this piece, just so that the seam allowance is going to go the opposite direction with foundation piece. It's a learning experience, and I know what to do if I decide to do any foundation paper piece projects in the future. But like I said, for what I'm doing, it came out still really nice. What blocks did I create? Well, going back to my initial thoughts of, I wanted scenes from my life or something, I was like, how about I do an adventure into my YouTube life? I started my channel just over 2 years ago, and it has been an incredible journey over that time. I wanted to use fabric that I connected with, and I have been in love with grunge ever since it came out. So I went and I started raiding my stash. The first thing that I wanted to do was highlight in my row my YouTube channel logo. This block, it goes back to a project from a handful of years ago with me and Mom. We worked out a little bit of a trade. I found a project that it was an Afghan, but it was basically a quilt block that they designed in an Afghan direction. So she made the Afghan, I made the quilt. We did a trade, and basically this block is what reminds me of her all the time. It's why I chose it for my quilt logo, except I want to do it in colors that were more me. We did our project in blue, but I love purples and everything. So I was like, let's do it this way. So, I decided first I'm going to do that for my centerpiece of my block. The next block that I did, I wanted something that expressed the friendships that I had made over the past 2 years amongst both content creators and viewers. This is an incredible community, and I've been blessed to meet so many people. So I made a pair of friendship stars that I'm going to flank my channel logo with. I think that it's an incredible community, and I love everybody that I have met. It's just so great. The final thing that I have been doing was racking my brain to figure out what I wanted to do for the last block. I love to have fun with everything that I can, and I was like, it has to be a fun block. So I went searching through everything that I have, and I finally came across my block quilt builder card deck set of blocks. There's a whole bunch of blocks in here, and I came across this block, and I was like, this is a lot of fun. I think that will work perfectly. So I made a pair of blocks in those colors. So I had a lot of fun putting these blocks together, and I think that it expresses me and my channel in a delightful way. And here we have the finished row. It's not perfect, but let's face it, none of our lives are perfect. None of our friendships are perfect. And no matter how much fun we have to express, it's still not perfect. but it expresses how awesome things can be, even with all the little imperfections. I'm going to be sending this row off to Becca to be joined with the other 9 rows, and I'm excited to see what finished project it's going to be. I hope that everybody goes and checks out all of the other content creators. I have a link below to each of the content creators in this collab, along with the playlist that Becca has put together that shows all of our row videos and how everything came together. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day and an awesome week. Until next time, stay happy and embrace the imperfections of life. Toodles!